Hello, church family. I'm here with Ben Angel from Madagascar. Ben, can you just introduce yourself and your family and what your ministry looks like for our church here tonight?
Well, hello, church family. This is Ben Angel. We're missionaries to Madagascar. I have a wife and five daughters, and we've been missionaries to Madagascar for 19 years. Your church has actually been one of the very early churches that took us on for support, I think, in 2005 or 2006. You've been with us for a long time. And so we started a main church in the capital city of Madagascar. That's the capital city is Antananarivo. It's a mouthful. So we started that from the very beginning, from a home Bible study, and didn't really know anybody in the country or anything, and just started inviting people to church and knocking doors and passing out tracts and seeing people in stores or out and about, just like you would in the States, just trying to get the message out. And that church is now constituted or chartered, if you will. We have a constitution, charter members. We had that charter service in 2021. So we're an officially chartered church there. Um, and then in 2016, we started a Bible Institute where we take students through the entire Bible and all the major doctrines, plus a few other courses. We're trying to add a few other courses for pastors, but we have that. And then uh, last year we started two other churches out of that first church, and so those are two new church plants we're excited about. And we've been on furlough for this last year or so almost. And during that time, the national man who's been watching the work in my absence has done a very good job. The two new church plants have done a very good job as well, and we are really excited for the future and seeing more churches planted, seeing what God has in store. But we're just excited. We got a building, built a building there in 2022 and 23. So God's been good, and that's kind of who we are and what we've been doing.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And I guess on that aspect of growing and reaching your culture, what kind of aspects of the region that you're currently reaching that has deeply impacted your approach to missions work?
Yeah, well, here's a couple things. The first thing is it's the gospel that saves, and that does not matter where you are in the world. It's the message of the gospel that saves anyone. So I think when I first started out in Madagascar, I was more concerned about trying to explain the gospel in that setting and in all of that, and using the right illustration because it is a completely different setting there. I will say that I have kind of come back to the basics. Not that I ever left the basics, but understanding that what's going to cut through this is not my illustration or my this or that, but it's just the gospel. That being said, trying to present the gospel in a way that is applicable to them. For example, they're animists, so they're ancestor worshippers, idolaters. They have witch doctors, and it would believe in all superstition and all of that. So one of the things I realized I had to do was define sin. Because to an animist, sin is just breaking their ancestors' tradition or doing something that upsets cultural or societal harmony. So you have to define that sin is breaking God's commandments, of course. So that's something that I major on in Madagascar, maybe more than I would here in the States presenting the gospel, because they have to define what sin is. And then when it comes to the gospel, uh, the simple gospel is what I share, but I focus more on the aspect of reconciliation, because the concept of breaking the law and being guilty before God in Madagascar, it really doesn't mean a lot to them because they live in a corrupt society where no one cares about the law. What's big to them is harmony and relationship. So I usually use 2 Corinthians chapter 5, where it talks about being reconciled to God, and that aspect of sin and forgiveness and whatever, rather than emphasizing maybe breaking the law. So same gospel, very simple message. That's the power. But those are the things that I try to do in their culture.
Do you have any challenges at all that you faced in your missions work there, or
Oh yeah,
stories you may want to share with our audience?
yeah. So several challenges. Number one, when you're in a poor or backwards country, if you will, not backwards, but just behind technologically, There's challenges to work. There's things that we can just do in America. You can just buy or just do this, organize this. I would say trying to do activities is difficult. Trying to figure out what they can afford, who can go where. Or we have most of our people ride the bus, in the capital city there to church, and they may live a while, and so there's some difficulties with that. But those are all minor difficulties. I would say the biggest difficulty we have is that animism and ancestor worship, it really grips every part of their life. And the biggest challenge we have to ministry there is the family. Because most of our people there in our church were, they're first generation Christians. They're the first one getting saved. And when they get saved, the family views them turning their back on that family religion as turning their back on the family. So then, I mean, the whole force comes down, or you might see a lady get saved. They don't go to church. I mean, they don't. They nominally go to church, once a year on Christmas or Easter, twice on Christmas and Easter, and so. But all of a sudden, now the dad doesn't like it because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed because his wife and kids are now going to a cult because that's what they view us as, a cult. So he'll say, "You can't go there anymore," because he's feeling the pressure or the embarrassment, the shame, whatever. So, those are some, I would say the family and that ancestor worship, it is really strong. Um, and trying to get them out of that, it takes the work of God.
Yeah, and I guess in that ministry aspect and challenge juggling all these different challenges you're coming across, how has that have also affected your family and your family dynamic in the work of the ministry there, and even with the challenges of maybe even finding friends or different things like that? What does that look like for your guys' family?
Well, I've always tried to just, for our family to, no matter what's happening outside in the ministry or the culture or whatever, I've tried to make sure that our home is a safe, comfortable, and clean oasis for our family. So we're very Malagasy. I mean, we speak the language. We fly their flag on the Independence Day, make a big deal about that. We're not trying to be Americans, per se. But in our home, we've also tried to, we try to, we're American in our home. So we always try to make and try to have that close family tie. So because there's not so much to do and so many places to go, and we're forced to homeschool, I mean, the family actually is tighter in some ways. Because no matter what's going on out there, we can control our home. And we obviously the kids make friends in the church. So they have friends in the church like any other kid, in your church, if you will. And then other missionary kids. Missionaries are close, because you kind of out there by yourself in that culture. We've had the blessing of having some really good missionary friends over the years that have been a blessing to us. So I would say that's what we do. We try to make the mission field fun. That's one thing I will say. We try to make it fun. Okay, so when we go on this flight, it's 20 hours. We got small kids. We've always tried to get the little kids a little Lego set or something. They're having to say goodbye to family and friends and grandma and grandpa at the airport. So we've always tried to make it something to look forward to, at least. Like they get past that on the plane. There's like this new little thing to keep them busy or whatever. Um, our family took 2 nights in Paris coming back last year from furlough, and just told our kids, hey, you guys couldn't do this if you weren't missionaries. We're coming through here anyways. We're gonna take a couple nights and see the Eiffel Tower and whatever. So we've always tried to control the controllable, not make the ministry bad or run the people down or complain that it's not like America, but try to soften the hardships of the ministry there with the family with the blessings of it. And you got to enjoy things. There's things that we're looking forward to right now when we get back. I mean, our kids looking forward because we love it. So we try to emphasize that and minimize or soften the hardships.
I guess on that note, what are as maybe one of the major misconceptions that we may have in our culture with that's different, even like maybe just to dispel for our church community in reaching people in Madagascar?
Well, there's two, I think. I think there's two. I think the first misconception that can actually um, result in the missionary atrocity, if you will, missionaries not lasting on the field, is people they feel like the lost. We give the message, all these poor people. Number one, we major on the poverty too much. that moves people. Okay, and that should move us, I guess. I've been to so many missions conferences or presentations where it's all about the poverty, and really, honestly, this sounds harsh, but you're not going to change that. You're not going to change that. They have to want to change it in their country. So we're there for their spiritual well-being, their souls. Um, but they have this idea that if we go to the mission field, they're all just waiting to be saved. If someone will just go, they'll all get saved. And the reality is, they're sinners just like people in the U.S. And so you have to just go with a long-term, some perspective. Sometimes we have the Philippines, Mexico, where there is a harvest going on there, where God's working. But we've been plowing. So you just say, okay, they're just like it's just like ministry in the States. There's a lot of people. It's going to take them several times to get saved, or the majority never will. So I think people can get, they think it's this wonderful thing or whatever, and then it's just like ministry in the States. The second thing that I think really needs to be dispelled is people look at it like it's this, I'm going to be miserable, or it's this great big burden, or and there are the conveniences, but I mean, yeah, is there separation from family? Yes. Is there a sword in missions? Yes, a sword of separation and whatever. Yeah, we have one finally now U.S. restaurant in Madagascar. Finally, after all these years, we got KFC. I mean, but people, everyone from our church who's come to Madagascar, and we're in the capital, but everyone who's come has loved it. They love it. They look at missions like it's this, oh, I could never do that. It's too far. It's too this. It's too that. And I get there's some rough places in the world. If you're in the 1040 window in the Islam, Muslim world, or you're in some way out there in the rainforest, I get that. But people have this misconception like it's I'm gonna be miserable. And the honest truth of the matter is we love it. And anyone who comes there loves it. And we make it that way. You have to work to make it to where people love it. Your kids love it. You're not just gonna happen, but it's great. I think those two are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
That probably took too long to tell you that.
No,
So,
no,
but
yeah, praise the Lord. Yeah, that was really well said and delivered. And as we go to prayer for you, what are some things you're looking forward to for the year ahead?
well, there's a lot of prayer requests for our family right now. The first one is we're leaving our daughter here at Bible College. This is first for us, so we'll drop her off on the 19th, and we'll fly out on August 20th.
Where is she going?
So that'll be new. She's going to Providence Baptist College.
Okay.
That's close to our home church. A lot of kids from our church, not everybody, but a lot of our kids go there. My dad, mom teach there. We have family there, so it's a smaller college. I've heard a lot about missionary kids maybe struggle because it's new to them. So we're excited about that, but pray for that. Um, and then pray for her siblings because they're gonna lose one. They're tight, like I talked about. And then for me, I just need some wisdom now because I'm kind of in a new territory where when I get back, it may be that I'm in that part of turning the church over, and then helping guys start new churches. So I've always been the pastor, if you will, at the beginnings, establishing this. And now it's like, uh-oh. I mean, yes, that's the goal, right? It's great. It's wonderful. But you're like, how do I judge the strength of it, when to transition now, how to transition now, where does my focus need to be now, and what am I going to do? It's going to be involved in church planning for sure. There's no doubt about that. But that's kind of a new territory. So I would say those things are the main prayer requests.